the situation in Minnesota continues to escalate, and things are getting more and more out of control. And the protesters, if you want to even call them protesters, because once you start following and harassing agents that are trying to carry out operations, you're not a protester. You're a criminal. You're impeding operations. Like, if you want to protest, go set up your sign, be somewhere, have your rally, do whatever you want. But when you're following around the agents, you're honking your horns, you're trying to interrupt their operations, you're no longer just a protester. You're an active participant in trying to disrupt operations. And being somebody that supports the deportations of illegal immigrants, I want to support ICE as much as possible. However, the things that we're finding out about the use of the I-205 administrative warrants, I find that to be concerning. And also, if you're somebody that supports the illegals being deported, then you should want everything to be done like meticulously and as, carried out as legal, like lawfully as possible, because the last thing you want is for this whole thing to blow up because officers didn't follow the right protocols, and now all of a sudden you're unable to deport illegal immigrants. Okay, so you should want them to be, crossing their T's, dotting their I's, doing everything the right way. So basically, a memo came out, and ICE officers are being authorized to illegally enter people's homes. Well, if you believe in the Constitution and the Fourth Amendment, they're able to circumvent getting an actual warrant from a judge, and they're using these forms called I-205 forms. And essentially what it is, ICE shows up to a house. They want to come in and search the house. Somebody says, no, you can't come in the house. They're able to fill out this I-205 form on the spot and then forcefully enter and search the home. And it's being portrayed in the media, by the pro-ICE faction that, well, obviously there's somebody in the house, they're doing what they need to do, and this is totally justified because there's precedent in the past of the Fourth Amendment being violated. So they used that to justify further Fourth Amendment violations. But you should not stand for this. This is not okay. Again, I support them deporting the illegal immigrants. I do not support them trampling on the Fourth Amendment. This is like the same mindset after 9/11 when they passed the Patriot Act and basically destroyed our entire Bill of Rights. But everybody went along with it because they wanted to fight terrorism, and they didn't want to be seen as unpatriotic or unsympathetic to the cause. So a lot of people didn't speak up, or maybe they just didn't understand at the time what was going on. I know I didn't. I was very young. It was right before I joined the Marine Corps, went and fought in an unconstitutional conflict in Iraq. And I was along the mindset of, well, if you don't have anything to hide, then you don't have anything to worry about. But that's not how we should view it, okay? Our Bill of Rights protects all of us. And so when we're looking at what's going on in Minnesota, we're seeing, these ridiculous agitators and protesters causing all sorts of problems for ICE. So your sympathies want to go with the ICE agents and say, yeah, we support them doing whatever they need to do. But when they're not doing things according to the Constitution, we have to hold them accountable and say, hey, no, I don't support that. So I'm not going to support these I-205 forms being used. And again, if you think about it in that context, you want to support it. But I'm going to show you a video of what they did after the Boston bombing. And these weren't people that were out being crazy. These were people that were following the orders. They were doing the shelter in place order, which is questionable as well. After the Boston bombing, the marathon bombing back in 2013, they basically shut down an entire metropolitan city. And then they locked down, they cordoned off like a 20-block part of the town. I think it was called Watertown, but they cordoned off this area, and they were going door to door searching houses without a warrant. Now, if you come to my house, and I'm not, I'm going to tell you, no, go get a warrant. But we'll watch this video from Watertown. So and the video goes on and on, but basically these people weren't doing anything. They conduct the search and it's over, and they move on to the next one, you know. And so this guy, the neighbor, is obviously watching this going on, and he's thinking like, "Oh, this is crazy." But if he just sees this happen to his neighbor, and then they come to his house next, he's going to comply. He's not going to fight against them, you know. And they did the same thing. They went door to door in Katrina, and they took people's guns during Hurricane Katrina. You know, people that weren't even in the area where there were riots. There were people in the outside, you know, surrounding towns, and they were taking their guns.
They say there are no orders to use force, just strong persuasion, sometimes entering open houses with guns drawn, and instructions to disarm anyone inside.
You said guns will be taken?
Yeah, no one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
That happened today in this wealthy neighborhood where homeowners had armed themselves to protect their mansions. Residents were handcuffed on the ground. In the end, police took their weapons but let them stay in their homes.
They were a little bit threatened because our weapons were bigger than their weapons.
So, again, I support the ICE agents. I support deporting illegal immigrants, especially the criminals, where you've seen the protesters up there trying to protect criminals and illegal aliens. So it's really hard to support the protesters because they're clearly far left whack jobs. But also, we don't want to just give in to some authoritarian police state as well and say, oh, yeah, you know, forget the Fourth Amendment. We're not worried about that. So, you know, again, let's make sure that things are being done the right way. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment.